it is my honor today to introduce to you Sarah Ricci and OneUpAction. So, in March of her sophomore year of high school, a friend of Sarah Ricci randomly asked her to ditch school to go to a climate strike. And she was so inspired by the speakers that she saw there that she became an organizer for the event. And then from here, Kevin Patel, who is a leader in Youth Climate Strike LA, invited her to join OneUpAction. And so today she is now the director of operations at OneUpAction, and she's going to talk to us about this global intersectional youth-led climate action organization and the values they represent. And she's going to outline the programs, the departments, and the resources that OUA provides for its youth leaders and the 30 chapters around the globe and how you can become involved. So I'm so happy to have her here today. Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are
Great.
you?
And so, we were talking a little bit earlier just about how, the state of affairs down there in LA County during COVID. How are things for you right now? I know that, all your classes are online, but just tell the audience how you're doing.
Yeah, well, with COVID, obviously my school is completely online, and I'm currently a senior in high school, and so being online kind of sucks. But luckily, I haven't gotten COVID. No one I know personally has gotten COVID, so I'm doing well. But the county at large is not so much.
Well, and we're glad to hear that you're safe and sound. And OneUpAction pretty much it started in LA County, if I'm correct, or at least the first Youth Climate Commission
Yeah.
started there. Why don't you just give us a brief backstory on how OneUpAction came to be and what you guys are all about?
Yeah, so OneUpAction, we did start in Los Angeles County, and it kind of did start with our first Youth Climate Commission down here. I believe it was Kevin, our executive director, and Delaney, who's another director, who worked to get the Youth Climate Commission in LA County started, which is the first youth commission in LA County, but also the world. And from that, OneUpAction was born really just to fight the climate crisis through direct action on a local level. And I became part of OneUpAction a little bit later with some of our other programs, our Action Chapter program and our Innovators Fund.
So let's talk about those programs really quick. So you have three different ones. You have the Youth Climate Commissions, you have Action Chapters, and then you have the Youth Innovators Fund. Um, for those who don't know what a Youth Climate Commission is, can you kind of just give us a high-level overview of what that does?
Yeah, so the Youth Climate Commission is basically a body of youth within a local government, whether that be at the city level, the county level. It's a commission of young people who work with legislators one-on-one consistently, which is really powerful because usually the only voice that youth get in government is through lobbying and petitions and strikes, things like that. But with the Youth Climate Commission, we actually get a prolonged relationship with the people who are actually making decisions, and we get to advise on climate justice policy. So it gives youth a guaranteed seat at the table when we don't even get to vote, and we only get, in the past, we've only been able to influence politics through trying and asking legislators, but now we have an actual relationship through the Youth Climate Commission.
Great. And you do have plans to expand these commissions to other chapters in other cities around the globe, right?
Yes, we have one that is getting started in New Jersey and a couple other cities across the US, and we do plan to expand.
So can you talk a little bit about your action chapters? You have 30 different chapters globally. What do you want our audience to know about these chapters?
Yeah, so our action chapters, they're the kind of idea behind that is that if we have lots of people fighting the climate crisis on a local level and being really impactful on a small scale, that sort of ripples out to create a huge change and really, alters the political landscape globally, just starting at that local level. And so our chapters develop their own specialized campaign on that local level. And OneUpAction provides them resources, mentorship, funding in order to make those campaigns successful. And we have 30 across the globe, but you can see some pictures from them on the screen right now. We have chapters in Kenya, Nigeria. We have a really big one in Los Angeles and a couple others across the US.
And I'm going to circle back with you on that about how any people could contact you to start a chapter in their location. But I want to talk about the Youth Innovators Fund. What is that?
Yeah, so the Youth Innovators Fund is a micro grant program that is grant ranging from $500 to $1,000 to any young person who's pursuing a project to combat the climate crisis. So that can be innovation to reduce plastic waste or something in agriculture, any sort of like nature-based solution to solve the climate crisis. Is really up to the youth, and this grant is going to give them the agency to really make that idea that they have a reality. And in addition to just the grant, we don't stop there, give them money, and then that's it. We also provide them mentorship and resources. So we have a team of people who are constantly doing research and are going to be working with the youth grantees that we onboard.
All right. And so let's talk a bit about the departments that you have for your programs. Can you give us a high level overview of all your different departments?
Yeah, so all of our leadership on the executive level for our international team, it's all youth led. So we're between maybe like 15 and like 20 years old. And for departments, we have one department running each program. So working with the youth who are involved, as well as creating resources. And we also have a creativity team who does all of our social media. And then we have partnerships, operations, finance, the basic nonprofit stuff.
And so you touched upon this a little bit earlier about the resources that you provide to youth activists so that they can maximize their local impact. Other than
Mhm.
just like funding, what kind of training or other insights or tips or resources do you give to people on the ground?
Yeah, so the most basic resource that we provide is just educational content to understand the issues better in order to be a more effective activist. But for our action chapters specifically, we train them in campaign strategy. So, how to effectively come up with goals and a vision, and how to effectively, implement tactics. And that training really makes their campaigns effective. So they're not just doing a protest that doesn't really have any impact and is just for show. They're doing protests that are working towards a very specific goal, and with that campaign strategy training, they're a lot more effective in achieving those goals. And additionally, just like mentorship, someone to talk to and get advice on their actions.
So anyone like in let's say you have an action chapter in Seattle, Washington, and they're thinking about starting a campaign about getting a certain bill passed, they can simply contact you and you'll provide them with insight and resources to help achieve that goal.
Yeah, exactly. And we have like monthly or bi-weekly check-ins with them, so we're in constant communication about their actions and helping them through whatever they're planning. But what's really unique about OneUpAction is that those actions and those goals that they plan around they stem from the local chapter rather than the international executive team.
Right. So every chapter has its own agenda or own goals that they're trying to achieve, and you help them achieve those goals.
Yeah, every like town, city, state, country, they all have different priorities, different issues surrounding climate injustice, and so we didn't think it would make sense for us to give them campaigns. And when we fight those very local issues, like I said before, is going to make a global impact once we put all of those actions together.
And so, um, I want to talk a bit about like your future goals as an organization. You've already, in a very short amount of time, have had quite a large reach. I mean, 30 chapters is no small number, of course. How did it? What was it like to get to that number, and where do you all want to go within this next year?
Yeah, so we started almost exactly 1 year ago in February of 2020, which obviously is right before the pandemic hit, and a lot of our leadership is from Los Angeles, so it hit us really hard. So I think 30 chapters in that 1 year is a really big accomplishment, and it really just came from people being passionate about our mission and telling their friends and doing outreach on a personal level is what got us that 30 chapters. In the next year, we're hoping to get to 100 chapters, so add on 70 more. And hopefully the pandemic eases up a bit, so that'll be a tad easier. But yeah, we're looking to expand to 100 chapters. In the next year, we're hoping to take on 6 to 9 grantees in our Youth Innovators Fund, as well as create at least like 5 to 7 new youth climate commissions across the globe. Those are our goals for 2021.
And so when you look for or you advocate for a chapter being established in a new city or a new country, what do you want prospective chapters or people who are interested in starting a chapter? What do you want them to come to you with? How should they approach you? What are the steps like that to start a chapter?
Well, if you're interested in starting a chapter, that's pretty much all you need. As long as you're interested and dedicated to the cause and have some time to spare, that's all you need to come to us with. And we will take you through the next steps of how to develop a campaign. We'll walk you through anything you're nervous about, even helping you with outreach to get more people in your local region involved. And so, yeah, if you're interested, that's all you need to come to us with, and then we take you through the rest, because we really believe that every young person, no matter what your background is or your experience level, you have power, and OneUpAction, we just want to harness that power into something tangible that can make change.
And in terms of funding and partnerships, can you talk a little bit about what you all are looking for in terms of new fundraising goals or perhaps potential partners you'd be interested in working with?
Yeah, I'm not sure how many partners we have, but we're very open to working with any organization that values justice and equity, and putting frontline leaders at the forefront, and prioritizes youth leadership, which is they're really some of our core values. And so, as long as the organization has those values, we're more than happy to work with them. Um, and in terms of funding, obviously, in order to fund these actions, we really need a lot of donors, and we're constantly applying for grants. And so, yeah, we're really stepping up on that.
And if you can talk about this, and if not, no worries, can you talk about some of the partnerships that you currently have existing, and who are some of your current funders or donors that you work with that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, I think one big one is another youth-led organization called Climate Cardinals, and they've been really helpful for us. Basically, what they do is translate documents and materials into other languages, and so we're creating a lot of educational content, and most of us speak English, so it's primarily in English. And so working with Cardinals has been really instrumental to getting those educational materials in multiple different languages to make it more accessible to more people.
And if
So
someone wanted
that's
to
one
be
that.
great, and if someone wanted to be a partner or was thinking of partnering with you all, who should they contact?
Yeah, so you can contact our partnerships director. Her email is just Daphne at OneUpAction. Or if you forget that email, you could always just go to our website, just oneupaction.org, and contact Daphne.
Great. And just jumping back for a sec to people who are interested in starting a chapter, obviously you're saying you want those who are between the ages of 15 and 20, or youth organizers to get involved. But can you just kind of who who would you particularly like to see come to you to start an action chapter?
Yeah, so OneUpAction is focused primarily on people on the front lines of the climate crisis. So, young people who have experienced climate injustice issues firsthand and really understand why this work is so important. as well as BIPOC youth. Those are the groups that we really would like to start chapters because we understand that those voices are the most important and imperative to actually solving these issues.
And who should they contact if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so our director of chapter relations is Bailey Selfers. She's really sweet, and I'm sure you guys will have a great time working with her. You can email her at bailey@oneupaction.org or just go on our website and you'll find the application to start a chapter.
All right. So with the remaining time that we have, I want to talk about current projects that you all are working on, the things that you're really excited about. I know I previously had a conversation with Kevin, and we may have talked about some of these, but don't worry about repeating anything. For the sake of our audience here, what are some current projects or initiatives that you're all working on that you want to let people know about that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, so Earth Day is coming up soon, and so we're putting together a big fundraising event for Earth Day. We've really been ramping up our resource production, creating a lot of educational content that will be going out on our Instagram as well as going directly to chapters soon. And yeah, so just look out for the Earth Day campaign. We'll be posting a lot about that on our Instagram.
Great. Well,
There
is there
might be others that we're working on. I'm right now.
Yeah. So, with the remaining time that we have here, is there? This is a kind of a question I like to ask guests, and sometimes I pull out this question every now and then. Is there a question that you wish I was asking, and if so, what is your response to it?
Um, Maybe just like asking about like some of the stuff that our chapters have done.
Hmm.
Um, I'll respond. Something that I'm really proud of that our chapter in Kenya has done. One of our leaders, Fazila, has been putting together a fundraising event for to raise money to provide period products to young girls in poverty, and also using that money to plant trees. And OneUpAction has helped her raise over $300, which has provided a year's worth of supplies to, I think, 60 girls in poverty in Kenya. So I'm really proud of that. And she sent a bunch of pictures. So that's something I was really excited about. And then another example, our Los Angeles chapter recently did this big campaign. They called it Water Week, and they put on protests and they had petitions and they lobbied the LA city government to raise awareness about the water crisis to ensure that all LA residents have access to clean, free water.
That's good to hear. Like I actually didn't know about those examples, so I'm always really inspired to hear about the work that you all are doing, and I hope that people are taking note of the international reach that OneUpAction has here. It is not, while it was started in Los Angeles, it isn't just relegated to there. As you can see, they have impact all over the globe, including in Kenya, and that's something that I'm very glad that you told me about. Are there any other places? Obviously, you want to expand everywhere, but are there any other places on the globe that you really wish you could start a chapter in?
Be great. We have a couple in like Mexico and South America getting started, but like Eastern Europe and Asia is an area where we don't really have much reach. And so if we could start doing more chapters there, I think that'd be really awesome.
This is a comment that came in through the chat. It was Sarah. She was just saying, congratulations on 30 chapters in 1 year. It's a great accomplishment. I have to agree. Simpatico has been streaming videos for precisely 1 year as well. And the accomplishments you all have had kind of dwarfs ours by comparison. So we are all duly impressed with everything that you've done so far. I'm going to check in the chat room to see if I field any more live questions here. Um, so, why don't you talk a little bit about, because I know that you're gonna be doing some more content with us, and I want to see if you can give us a little bit of a preview for viewers that are going to continue to tune in. You have some workbooks that you want to highlight for your chapters as a resource to people. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Yeah, so we have a lot of guidebooks that we've made. One that we might work on, we have guidebooks about how race and gender intersect with the climate crisis. We have guidebooks about air pollution, like water pollution, and it ranges across a very diverse span of topics. And we're also putting together guidebooks that are specifically like tactic, how to protest, how to lobby your local government, how to plant trees or do a community cleanup, things like that. Um, so in future episodes, we might highlight some of those guidebooks that we're the most proud of. And additionally, we're looking to highlight our chapters and the work that they're doing, because we have a lot of different chapters, 30 of them, and they're all doing their own special campaigns. And so we really want to highlight the impact that they're making on a local level.
All right. Well, Sarah, is there anything else that you would like our listeners to know about OneUpAction before we conclude the interview? I just want to say thank you so much for coming on here and partnering with us to create some of this content, and we're really privileged to be hosting you all. But anything else that you want to add about OneUpAction before we conclude the interview?
Yeah, well, thank you everyone who's listening. We would really appreciate your support. If you could go on our website, it's called oneupaction.org. It would be really great if you could donate some money to help us out and help us continue our work, as well as if you are a young person who's interested in doing something to combat the climate crisis, interested in starting a new climate commission or applying for the Innovators Fund, please also go on our website. We're always looking for new leaders to support. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on today. And we are going to transition into just chatting. So just sit tight and we'll be right back.